Hey, real quick PSA. I'm recording this December 15th, which is the deadline to enroll in a health insurance plan through your state's health insurance marketplace. Now, don't panic if you're watching this later in the day or after the deadline. This is just the first deadline. This is the deadline to enroll in a plan that goes into effect on January 1st. If you have a little wiggle room and you don't mind waiting for February 1st for a plan to go into effect, you have until January 15th. Depending on your state, some states actually give you a little bit more time and extend open enrollment through the end of January. Just double check, do a little Google search, check their guidelines, but you have a little bit more time to figure this out. But don't wait. If there's no other reason to put off enrolling in health insurance other than the fact that it's confusing and it's kind of scary and it freaks you out, I have some other videos to help demystify all of this to the best of my ability. Now, I'm not an expert, but I've gone through this and I've done a lot of learning and I've captured that into a couple videos that I have published right here on this channel that explain how to shop for insurance, how to navigate the websites, how to understand all the jargon that they use, how to calculate your costs, and how to figure out what sort of premium tax credit you might be eligible for, and a few other things. Just go on the channel, search health insurance, and you should see a few videos pop up. I'll also link to them in the description right here. I also want to address a comment I received on another video about health insurance from someone who shared that they're kind of freaking out right now because they're shopping for health insurance for the first time and they're not sure how much it's going to cost them because their paycheck varies month to month and they're having a hard time estimating their annual income. And your annual income is what determines what sort of tax credit you're eligible for and ultimately determines how much you're going to pay for a health insurance plan. And they're worried that if they estimate low but end up making more, they're going to end up having to pay back some of that tax credit at the end of the year, and that's no fun. So how do you navigate this? I was in the exact same boat. Actually, I'm still in the same boat. I have variable income as well. In fact, for the first 2 years of me being self-employed, I opted out of a marketplace plan for this very reason. I did not like not knowing how much it was going to cost. I had a really hard time estimating what sort of income I'd be bringing in. So I went with an alternative option, which ended up not really being the best fit for me and my family. But then I learned a few things and I came to terms with a few things and ended up going for a marketplace plan. And it's been working out. And I'll tell you what I've done and what I would recommend for the commenter and anybody else who is in a similar situation. For starters, I'd play around with the numbers a little bit. Your state's insurance marketplace should have a calculator to help you estimate what sort of discount you can receive. So put in a lower income. What is the minimal amount of income you could reasonably expect to receive next year, and see what sort of numbers it spits out. And then plug in the highest amount of income you can reasonably expect to receive, and then overestimate, add a couple $1,000s to that just for safety, and see how far apart those numbers are. They might not be that different. If we're talking about the difference between earning $50,000 and $55,000 in the year, then I wouldn't really worry about it. But if we're talking about the difference between earning $40,000 and $130,000, you're going to see very different insurance plan costs. In either scenario, I would err on the side of overestimating and paying a slightly higher monthly premium, understanding that if I make less money than what I was planning, then I'm going to get more money back at the end of the year. I'll be eligible for a larger premium tax credit than what I originally estimated for, and that's going to come back to me in the form of a tax refund when I file my taxes. I'd much rather do that than underestimate and end up having to pay more in taxes at the end of the year, especially if I wasn't planning on that and I don't have the money on hand to pay for it. So let's talk about that. keep track of your income. If you see that you are making a little bit more money than you originally estimated, make sure that you're saving some of that income on the side to be able to pay your tax bill when it comes due. Also, understand that the premium tax credit isn't the only tax credit you might be eligible for. Let's say you do underestimate your income, so you have to pay back some of your premium tax credit, but you have kids, so you're eligible for the premium tax credit and the standard deduction and some other things that rack up a nice little refund for you. You can apply some of that refund towards the cost of the premium credit. And at the end of the day, you just take a smaller refund or it's a wash and you don't have to pay anything. That's kind of the best case scenario. Well, not the best case, the best case for the worst case scenario. You know what I mean. So that's kind of the first tier of how I would handle this situation. There are more advanced tax maneuvers you can make. For instance, I have an S Corp election that allows me to move money in more tax advantage ways from my business to my personal funds. And that kind of helps me control my taxable income, which ultimately helps me control how much I pay for health insurance. That's a whole nother conversation, and I touched on that in some other videos. And I'll link to all of that in the description below and some of the other health insurance resources that I put together for you. I know despite my best efforts to try to clarify and demystify all of this, it's still going to be confusing and intimidating and expensive and sucky because the whole system is just a mess. But it is what it is. Let's move into this new year as gracefully as possible and without stressing about things more than we need to. If you have any questions, don't ask me because I only know like this much about health insurance. I'm just sharing all this from the position of having gone through it before, just sharing my own specific journey. Your healthcare needs could be very different from my own. So don't hesitate to reach out to a health insurance broker who can help you piece together the best plan for your specific healthcare needs. But if you do want to learn more about business and marketing and self-employment, I have a lot of other resources I'd be happy to share with you over at selfemploymentsidekick.com. My name is Dave, your self-employment sidekick. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.